Hey everybody, good evening. We're back again. Um, Seems like we were just here talking about an upcoming weekend thing last week at this time, and we were. May has been really nicely busy, and we're really excited about everything that this month has had to offer so far. But today, I want to talk about our upcoming trip to Hyde Hall. This is a very unconventional situation. You see, Hyde Hall doesn't allow paranormal investigators, and they aren't going to be allowing paranormal investigators in the foreseeable future. So, what are we doing there? Well, we're helping them with a new special event. And that event, it's going to take place in October, prime time for these kind of events. And part of that event, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that's going to be at the end, part of that event has to do with what we're doing up there this weekend. And we are going to be there with all of our equipment, conducting with their staff an investigation. We are going to be up there and we're going to be walking, doing everything with their staff, and it's all building up to this new exciting special event in October. This is an amazing location. First of all, the first thing, it's funny. A lot of locations we go, the buildings are amazing. If you look away from the building and look at the scenery around the building, it's also amazing. George Clark knew where to put a house. It's just a beautiful spot, and the time of year, going up there in the spring for our part of the event now, and going up again in the fall for the actual event. Those are going to be really beautiful drives. But the house itself is amazing because they've managed to restore it back to what it was, and a part of that has a lot of the original designs, a lot of the original furniture, a lot of the original decorations. And it's interesting, much like last week's investigation of the Seneca Falls Historical Society, we're not touching anything. Everything in these locations is, most of it's original, most of it's priceless, and we aren't going to be, this is a no touchy kind of investigation. But Hyde Hall is also huge. It's over 50 rooms. It's a giant, giant building. Now, it wasn't always 50 rooms. To give you a little bit of history, George Clark is the builder of Hyde Hall, and he started building it in 1817, but it didn't become the huge house that it was then. It was built in basically three stages from 1817 to 1834, and five different generations of the Clark family lived there. So a lot of family history. But don't let those dates fool you. It's a really modern home. When we did the tour, we were shocked to see things like indoor plumbing, duct heating, these vapor chandeliers they showed us that they only exist. The only ones left in the world that exist are at Hyde Hall, and just all kinds of innovations and things that were in this home I didn't expect to see in a house that really had its main construction completed in 1834. So that is really cool to see such an older home, but also a really modern home for the time. Now, of course, we're interested in the haunted history of it, and as far as that goes, the staff there is wonderful, and they've been extremely helpful about everything except the paranormal stories. They aren't telling us anything. Anything. And again, this whole situation is unconventional, very different, and very cool. And they're just not telling us about any of the experiences they've had, any of the experiences they've heard of. We met the executive director. He told us one story. But beyond that, they haven't told us much of anything. We watched the Ghost Hunters episode that was filmed there. Wasn't particularly helpful. They focused on one thing and one thing only, and it just didn't help us in any way. We've done a little light reading to educate ourselves on the home and who occupies the home and who could possibly still be occupying the home. So because we haven't gotten any kind of insight, any kind of story, we're kind of stuck with the initial feelings we had on the tour. That tour was so helpful, and we went around and we had some feelings there. And what's interesting is some of the places we had feelings, when we were told the one story we were told later, it corresponded. And when we watched the Ghost Hunters episode, it corresponded. But there were three places that when we walked around, The governess room, Emily had major feelings in there, like just that heavy kind of feeling. There's a back hallway between George's office and the family area that I felt a little different. And the outer and inner libraries were just three of the places that we noticed felt a little heavy. But there's a big reason to believe that there's a real paranormal potential for Hyde Hall. And I mean, it's in the Haunted New York magazine. It's well known to be haunted. But if you think about the building and the location, that can give you an idea as to maybe why it's so haunted. The building is made of limestone, the entirety of it. And if you're a subscriber to stone tape theory, which is the idea that certain stones, rocks, minerals can hold within them the imprint of the people, the memories, the emotions, and all of the things that have come before them, and therefore can transfer that energy like a tape where it plays over and over and over again. Limestone's one of the top stones or minerals that's said to do these things, and the entire house is made of it. And not just like this, like big, thick walls of limestone. So the stone tape theory suggests that this house could be a major conduit for the paranormal. There's also water. The idea behind water and moving water. There's a giant lake in the front yard. And we tend to find that locations that have paranormal activity do have some relationship, a lot of the time, with water. So you have limestone, you have water constantly, potentially, in theory, fueling a lot of energy and paranormal experiences. So the home itself could be assisting in its own haunting, if you would. But as I said before, the challenge in a location like this is how big it is. It's absolutely huge, and we'll be there with their entire staff, as I said, with the event we're helping them with. But we cannot possibly cover the whole thing. I like to think we have a lot of equipment, and I've been told by other locations that we go to that the loadout of cameras that we bring is a lot by comparison. But you just can't cover that much space. But we are bringing the whole arsenal with us, pretty much. We're going to have 7 stationary cameras, 4 trail cameras, 1 stationary thermal camera, REM pod, sound sensors, motion. We're going to have everything. 2 teams broken up with their staff and us to sort of lead our way through and to go through, and just try and cover as much of it as we can. Again, on purpose, we haven't been told much of anything. And that's all part of it. That's all part of this, and all part of the of setting up the event that we're doing down the road, which is why we're doing this. That being said, while we are there, we're going to try a couple of things, as we always do. One of the things we've been told is that music really makes the house come to life. That when they play music, that just the whole house feels different. There's a lot of energy, and they actually there's a CD of music, classical music, that was apparently the family's favorite. Now, this CD was recorded in Hyde Hall. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around and we're going to play the CD. We're going to walk around with the music playing and hopefully get things going. Kind of an audio trigger object, if you will. And we're going to do this in a way where we're going to play a little bit, then we're going to stop, and then we're going to play some more, and then we're going to stop. And just lather, rinse, repeat. Because the idea is, by stopping it, you want to see if anything happens in the middle. And that's, that's where you're hoping that some of the equipment will catch something. And maybe even some residual energy that this music will invoke. One thing about George Clark that we learned is that he was big into the late night entertainment. He liked to throw get-togethers. He liked to have people around. He liked to drink. He liked to smoke. He liked to have a good time. And that's why those I mentioned the vapor chandeliers earlier. That's something that only the extremely wealthy had. Was back in the early to mid 1800s, most people, when it got dark, you went to sleep. Candles were expensive, and only wealthy people had the kind of chandeliers. So in order to help George have a little fun, we're going to bring a bottle of one of his favorite alcoholic beverages, port. This is actually from Brotherhood Winery, which is interesting because that's a contemporary. It was around at the time when George was around, and even though it would have been a long way, we thought it was interesting to bring something that would have existed then up there. So we're gonna see if George wants to have a drink. Another thing we're going to do in an effort to kind of, you try to put yourself in the time period as much as you can. We're not really into doing to dressing in period costumes. We'll try it, if this, we didn't really want to do it this time. With the whole staff and everything, it's a lot to do. But we are going to try and, and tech down a little bit. And instead of flashlights, we're going to use these. These are electric candles. There's even flickering. It's kind of hard to see on the camera. And with a candle holder of the style, I don't want to bring in bright flashlights. I think I'd rather stick to these kind of things. And it may not look like that throws a lot of light. But Hyde Hall is going to be, from what we've been told, it's very dark in there when they close the windows and when the sun goes down, because you're not in the middle of a city, you're not around a highway, there's really no outside light, so you're going to be in a situation where it's going to be dark. So that little flickering electric candle, because there's no way we'd bring a real candle into there, that's going to throw a lot more light than you think. And we just want to try to use that instead of a flashlight, just to see. I mean, obviously there's going to be tech there. I've been talking about cameras the entire time, but at the same time, if we're holding that instead of holding a bright flashlight, maybe there's something there, maybe there isn't. It's something we want to try, and just to try and keep it within that sort of time frame as much as we can. I mean, the technology for the cameras is obviously going to be there. But as I've been saying, all of this that we're doing is us helping Hyde Hall with this event, and it's a singular honor to be allowed to go into to be able to help them in this way. They haven't done anything involving the paranormal in a very long time, and they were looking for us to help them with this, and we're thrilled to be doing so. But I keep mentioning the event. What am I talking about? Well, if you go on their website, you can't buy tickets yet or anything, but in October, we're going to be helping them with an event where part of it is going to be a speaking thing. I'm going to do a presentation on paranormal investigation and how we do it and how our approach is, and talk about the gear and talk about kind of just how we do things. And then after that, there's going to be, for a smaller group of people, there's going to be an investigation, a guided investigation, a ghost hunt, if you will, even though I don't like that term. So basically, it's a guided ghost hunt in the building, where it's going to be our guidance, their staff guidance, our equipment, all supervised, of course, because of the priceless artifacts that are in this building. And that's a lot of what we're dealing with. We want to use the equipment to get evidence in the building, so that at this event we can show, we can show sort of what is there already, to sort of build up that, and to also allow for the people who attend this event to have a better experience. So, as I said before, we are honored to be the group that's been chosen by them to help with this. We are so excited about it. You can probably tell. And we got a big weekend coming up, and we'll keep you posted on it every step of the way. And by the way, we have not forgotten about the Seneca Falls Historical Society, which we just investigated last weekend. We're still reviewing the evidence. In fact, when I'm done here, I'm going to take this hat off and put my headphones on and go right back into reviewing the evidence. Some interesting experiences in that building that we'll be thrilled to share with you. Probably in a couple of weeks. We have to share it with the people from Seneca Falls Historical Society first. But so I'd say a couple weeks to expect that video, and we're really excited about it. We had a great time. What a great location that is. If you're in that area, you should visit it. Whether it's when they're open, just as a regular museum, some amazing stuff there. But you can expect that video soon. We're still finishing up the review, but we had a great time there. They were great people, so we haven't forgotten about them. It's just that we do this back-to-back big weekends, which I love. But at the same time, it kind of makes us juggle a little bit in terms of review and preparation for the next investigation. And it's been a whirlwind around here. Thankfully, Emily steps up big in reviewing the evidence, helping me with that, and Tim too, who was there. And this weekend we'll have Tracy with us too. So we'll have 4 of us, and then of course, like I said, all of Hyde Hall's staff, as we help them set up this amazing fun event in October that we are really looking forward to doing. And we'll share more details with all of you as they become available. So The journey continues. The journey continues, and I want to thank each and every one of you who watch our videos, who follow us, who liked us, followed, subscribed, all that stuff on social media, because we really appreciate you taking the journey with us, and it's been a really fun ride, and it's been a really fun month, and we have a lot of awesome stuff yet to come. Not only in October with the Hyde Hall event, but we have other stuff happening over the summer. So we will talk to you again very soon. Have a great night and take care.